Hello everyone, welcome to Lockdown Sees the World. And we know that great changes happen in China and Japan after the self-strengthening movement and the Meiji restoration. And almost simultaneously, they dispatched their first diplomatic delegates to America and Europe, which were China's Anson Burlingame mission and Japan's Iwakura mission. Initially, they looked very similar. Yet in reality, they were totally different. And then what's the difference? From the purpose and planning, members, assignment, and actual result, we check the detail. First, the difference of purpose. In Second Opium War, China was first to sign the Treaty of Tianjin in 1858, and it required renewal after 10 years. That was 1868. Then foreign battleships might come to China once again. Another nightmare to Qing government. One way to avoid such possibilities was to send a delegate first to the West, asking favor for a good deal. China had been isolated for long from the world. Few people knew diplomacy or eligible for foreign mission. Totally ignorant of Western norms and whether or not to kowtow to foreign emperors. Kowtowing to foreigners was regarded as a great dishonor to China. If not, it would be a big issue when foreigners see Chinese emperors later. The argument about the diplomatic etiquette and protocols at that time was very similar like today's political correctness. The U.S. Minister to China, Anson Burlingame, was to return America and agreed China's request as its envoy to the West. If kowtowing was required later in the foreign lands, Anson Burlingame will do it instead of the Chinese. It was okay, and it was just what expected to the Qing government. China has long regarded itself as the center of the world and the heavenly empire superior to all the foreigners around, the barbars and the savages. Yet China suffered twice defeat in the Opium Wars, and it's a great shame. Dealing with the foreigners was something regarded inferior or disgraceful in China. Even in 1876, when Guo Songtao, the first minister to Britain and France, was living, then his hometown country fellows mocked him while leaving China to serve the foreign gods rather than staying at home for something better. This was the real state in China then. Forgetting some great successes and achievements that had been made in early Han Dynasty, like Zhang Qian's mission to the Western regions and Su's loyalty even in North Sea. For they held their beliefs that anyone who offends the strong Han nation would be punished wherever they go. After Meiji restoration in 1868, Japan began to abandon outdated practices and learn from the West to be rich and strong. First from school education reform in 1870, and then for further cultivation and civilization in August 1871. Japanese government decided to send delegates abroad for the purpose of a friendly engagement with the West, negotiation for treaty updates, and learning Western operation in politics, economy, finance, and business. And members of the delegates. There were about 30 members in China's delegates, and started from February 1868 to November 1870. This mission was just for a makeshift of limited purpose, and by someone whom temporarily picked up. As Anson Burlingame as the leader, also British legation interpreter John Brown and French customer tariff officer Deschamps chosen as assistant to Burlingame. Chinese officials were Zhi Gang and Sun Jiagu, both from Administration of Foreign Affairs. Zhi Gang also named Zhi Kean, Manchu's official in Foreign Service, for document and regulations. Sun Jiagu, or Jiasheng, from Anhui province, promoted via imperial examination, served in foreign affairs, and later transferred to Zhejiang province. Neither of them were influential to the self-strengthening movement or government decision after the mission. Here is a picture of the delegates taken in America. There were totally 13 members on the picture. From the left, the first one is Zhuang Chunling, secretary and stenographer. The second is Gui Rong, a student learning Russian. The third one is Lian Fang, a student learning French. Feng Yi, a student learning English, and he had visited abroad before. Then Deschamps, the French. Sun Jiagu, that's Anson Burlingame, the leader of the mission. And Zhi Gang, then that's John Brown, British. The 10th is De Ming, and also named Zhang Deyi, English interpreter and future Chinese diplomat to London. 11th is Takshina, student learning Russian. The 12th is Tingjun, a student learning French. The 13th, the last one, is Kang Tingyun, secretary and stenographer. Japanese delegates. And it started from December 1871 to September 1873, composed of 107 members of high officials and overseas students, larger scale than that of China. Its leader, the plenipotentiary and Iwakura, was Japanese vice prime minister and foreign affairs secretary. From the picture, we can see the retinue is Takayu Kido, a Japanese state consular. Second is Yamaguchi, assistant to foreign secretary. The third one is Iwakura, that's the leader. Then the Yokobu Toshimichi, Japanese finance secretary. And the fifth is Ito Hirobumi, the deputy secretary of industry, later as prime minister of Japanese cabinet, and plotted for the Sino-Japanese War in 1894. All the members of the Japanese delegates were powerful men in government, and with this designated assignments in the mission. The third one is the delegates arrangement. Generally speaking, Chinese delegates wasn't well prepared, without definite purpose, individual duty, or full authorization. It started from Shanghai, arrived at Yokohama, Japan, crossed the Pacific, and reached San Francisco, and then along the west coast to Panama through Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, got to Washington, D.C. After its mission from Europe through Mediterranean, Red Sea, Indian Ocean, South China Sea, and back to Tianjin. Chinese mission focused on sightseeing wherever it went rather than exhaustive study to the Western society, neither with some valuable reports. After coming back, Zhi Gang wrote the book First Foreign Mission to the West. Sun Jiagu had his pamphlet, Brief View of the Mission. Zhang Deyi finished his records of the visiting Europe and America, all of which were literatures and about sightseeing, nothing to do with reviews and official report. Japan's mission failed in modifying treaties with the West, so it focuses on the Western society system and constitution, industry, and commerce. By seeing the factories and enterprises that they learn the power of machines and speed, efficiency, and the relations among production, material, trade, and benefits, which made adequate preparations for Japan's restoration and reform. First, the different results of the foreign mission. The difference in results came from the difference in purpose. Chinese delegates got what it planned initially. The West agreed more alleviation with China and much relieved Qing government's imminent concerns. China made some progress in learning and practicing in diplomacy, yet its self-strengthening movement mostly remained partially in technical skill, nothing to do with any changes to China's society or people's mindset. Until 25 years later, China's failure in the Sino-Japanese War in 1895, the foiled 100-day reform, and finally prompted another round of foreign mission to the West by 5 ministers, even considering cabinet system. Yet it was too late. The Qing government already doomed. After Japan's mission completed, 3 domestic policies were undertaken: civilized education, and economy development, and national power. In politics, it copied Britain. In military, it learned from Germany, and in culture, totally westernized. In very short time, Japan took capitalism and caught up with the developed West. Meanwhile, its growing jingoism and expansion brought Asia and even Japanese people worse and catastrophe. As the Chinese saying, learn from the past for today, learn from the others for yourself, keeping anything helpful and abandon anything unfit. Never hesitate to learn something new and good to improve yourself and make you updated, away from being arrogant and self-isolated. Above is today's program, the story of Chinese and Japanese foreign mission. And thank you for your joining in, and see you next time. Thank you, bye-bye.